Well, your luck had to run out sooner or later.
Luck? No such thing as luck. No, I believe everything happens for a reason.
Unfortunately, this was the case in The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 2. I honestly felt like my own father had died. I don't know anything about the game. I went in blind as a bat, and now I can see the sun. Up until I saw his body being dragged by those horses, I really thought he stood a chance. I was like, get up, Joel, it's only a knife to the throat. Gamers, how do you feel? Because as a normie, I am completely devastated. And I wonder how those like me, unfamiliar with the game, will react to this episode. Will they care to keep watching? If you compare Joel's death to someone like Ned Stark's in Game of Thrones, it came as a shock to fans. However, as the season went on, we were introduced to a slew of characters that were not only compelling, totally made us forget who Ned Stark was in the first place. Now granted, we did not spend a whole season with Ned Stark like we did Joel. However, I am cautiously optimistic. The only character we are familiar with at this point is Ellie, and we really need to wait and see. I think episode 3 is where it really kicks off. This episode was jam-packed, and they did send Joel off with a proper goodbye. I do love how Joel's death was paralleled by the infected outbreak. For better or worse, everything we see here today is because of Joel. He literally ended any chance of finding a cure. The hopelessness and the despair we feel at the end of every episode, especially this one, is because we know that things will never ever get better. I do appreciate how the infected are not just background noise, they are an active part of the series. As time goes on, it feels like the number of infected is increasing, and without a cure, it's really only a matter of time before they completely take over. And I think this lack of hope is why characters are quick to jump to violence. Abby's speech about it doesn't matter if you have a code or not honestly hit hard. In this world, it's every man for himself, and honestly, hell would be a blessing. The lack of hope is also why these characters don't really ask why or care. If you remember Kathleen in season 1, she knew Henry's reasons for killing her brother, but she didn't care. From Abby's speech, I gather she knows why Joel did what he did. However, she doesn't really care, and the same is true for Ellie when she goes after Abby. I thought Abby's physicality made a lot of sense in this episode. Joel has become this father figure, or at least obsessed with becoming a father figure. When he sees Abby, he immediately calls her kid, and I think her frame really helps because she doesn't look threatening in any way. Even when he's dying, he's not angry, he never fights back, he just accepts. To be honest, if Abby didn't bump into Joel, there's no way these fireflies could have taken Joel out. None of these kids felt like natural born killers like Joel. And even then, these fireflies, from what I recall of the season finale, I mean, he was one man. How was he able to take all those people out? Like, there's a certain point where you really have to blame yourselves. I also think Abby's physicality complements Ellie's. These are two young girls that lost the only male figure in their lives who had died to protect them. The episode starts off with Abby walking down a dark corridor. The image of finding her father dead on the floor is something she dreams about often, and something that's been fueling her hatred. The way Joel killed her father, to be honest, was completely unjustified. He did not have to shoot him. And not only did he shoot him, he didn't even hesitate. He didn't think about it at all. And I think it's not just her father's death that's bothering her, it's the disrespect he was given, and that's why she wants to kill him slowly. Abby's dream is paralleled with Ellie waking up in the morning with Joel's guitar standing upright. In the first episode, the guitar was dumped in the corner, and so this is our first indication that whatever issues they had, they worked it out. And I'm assuming we'll get flashbacks of these conversations that we missed. Her willingness to ride with Joel also suggests that she knows why Joel did what he did. I sense that she was very worried about him this episode, and whatever hatred she had is gone. We wake up to the town preparing for an attack. I'm happy it happened during the day and not at night. I think the fact that they were so prepared and nearly became extinct says a lot about the infected. And I do appreciate how no one in this town underestimates them. The one thing I like about the show is that we don't get sidetracked with all these dramas and, you know, all these kind of petty conflicts. The focus is always on how these characters are surviving this world, and we are constantly reminded of how cruel this world is. Before leaving, the old man who insulted Ellie apologizes. I love the comment about how no one has ever said what they weren't thinking. The way that Ellie was looking at that old man also made me laugh. She's like, give me that sandwich and get out of my face. So it does a great job of foreshadowing. When Tommy is prepping the town for the infected, he mentions a forest and why they should avoid going in the forest. Now, whether or not that's because of infected or raiders, we will find out later. And when Jesse and Ellie are riding out, he mentions that the storm, they have nothing to worry about. The storm is only in the mountains. And considering where Joel was killed, these comments were extremely distressing. I thought the way the two storylines intersected was really well done. Abby and her friends wake up to find out that Joel is not only hiding out in a town, but it is a town with palm trees and power lines. Like, this town is a fortress. While Abby's on watch, her friends basically try to brainstorm a way to convince her. And I really got the sense that they were barely with Abby. If this chance encounter did not occur, I really don't see them going with her to this town. I thought the chance encounter between Abby and Joel made sense for the show. She's about to leave her post when she spots two people riding on a horse. With a sense of urgency, she follows them, and she was really struggling in the snow. I thought the scene of her sliding down the snow and triggering the infected was really well done, because you can actually feel her fear. And I thought the chase scene of Abby running for her life, as someone who's unfamiliar with the game, I really didn't know what was going to happen. I thought at best she would at least get scratched. Abby is saved by this mysterious black hand reaching out to her. And I love how we only see the hand but not Joel's face. His very strong, manly hands. Like, sorry, I'm so sad that he's gone. Joel never doubts her for a second. When Dina calls his name, Abby can't believe her luck. And Dina low-key knew this girl was shady, but she was freezing and she didn't really have time to think. When Abby said her friends were armed, I just looked at Joel like, I really need you to think about this. Because I don't know why he assumed the best. Last image Joel sees is of Jackson burning, and he's so afraid for his brother that he never really thinks about himself. And his decision to go with Abby is because he really wanted to save Dina. He didn't want to leave her alone. He could see that she was really cold and just she wasn't really doing that well. He kind of takes on this role of caretaker, and in doing so, he nailed his own coffin. Now, Abby, I felt, seemed hesitant. I don't think Abby is a natural born killer, but these dreams of finding her father, I mean, she had to push through. And as soon as she said his name was Joel, I knew he was going to die. Now, in terms of Abby, I mean, her speech was a little too long and her body language didn't really match her physicality. However, she did mention a number of things worth pointing out. First, and most importantly, that Joel is indeed handsome. I was like, at least we got that correct. And even his face, he was like, thanks. And I really thought they were going to drag this out, but when she shoots him in the leg, it's at that moment, it really dawned on me that Daddy Joel is leaving this earth. He is too old to be surviving those wounds, and this man already barely has the will to survive. When she tells him he killed her father, he immediately accepts his fate. He never apologizes, and he never tries to explain what he did. The only time he pleads for his life is when he mentioned the fact that he saved her. And I think the way he said it, like, I saved you, as if to say, I'm not as bad as you think. And this whole idea of saving people, saved her from what? Ellie and Abby are condemned by Joel to live this hellish existence. Ellie's purpose was to save the world in hopes that people would, like Abby, would one day see a world restored. And in a lot of ways, they both got screwed. Abby and Ellie were born after the world became infected, and Joel comes from a different time period. I think Joel's sort of decision really reflects the time period he grew up in. He remembers a world before the infected, and I don't think it's really properly dawned on him that that world will never be again. Joel's last words felt appropriate. He basically told her to shut up and dance. And he's so, I mean, he doesn't care anymore. Like, he barely cared in the first place. And I think the fact that he killed her father, some part of him did sympathize with her. He also had a daughter who he hoped would do the same thing. When Abby told Joel, you don't get to rush this, my immediate reaction was, you don't get to kill him. Torture scene felt weak. Again, Abby is not a natural born killer. Like, to be honest, he definitely could have survived those punches. Watching her group look away, like, there was only one person in that group of friends that was looking at Abby like, yes, get him. Like, he was really nodding along. But the rest of these kids were crying. They were about to throw up. Like, they did not have the stomach for this. By the time Ellie and Jesse find out that Dina and Joel are missing, it's way too late. And I thought the time that Jesse and Ellie spent together, we did get some new insights. Now, for the gamers, is Eugene important? Because he keeps coming up over and over again. He was a firefly. Now, knowing Joel's history with the Fireflies, I wouldn't be surprised if he just killed him for no reason, like whether he was infected or not. For a minute, I thought that maybe Eugene was that old sniper in the Kathleen episode, but now I'm thinking he's way too old. So y'all let me know, is this man important or just another reminder that these Fireflies are extinct? That's the other thing. Anyone who was trying to save the world, Joel has also killed. We also find out during their time together that Jesse is being groomed to become leader. And I'm excited to see how his role grows because he does have a nice presence. And the time that we do spend around him, I mean, he is giving energy. When Ellie arrives at the mansion, she already knows what it is. And as soon as she heard that Dina and Joel were missing, she was really worried. When she enters the room, I wish she at least shot one of those fireflies, but unfortunately, all she could do was look at Joel. He manages to arrive before he dies, so at least he didn't die alone. I thought the part where he tries to get up when he sees her, I'm like, I know at your core you're a good person, but you've done such horrible things. The final stab when he's like, just finish this, I was like, please don't finish this. Let him die slowly, and by die slowly I mean survive. And when that knife went to his throat, I actually felt Ellie's cries, and I think Bella Ramsey really deserves an Emmy because that moment I was depressed. I was like, that's it, like he really dead? Abby leaves the cabin accepting what is. I think she knows that all of this will come back to bite her, but she really doesn't care. And Abby's character, again, I really hated her. Her speech annoyed the hell out of me. But I think the fact that she played her, because I was never afraid of Abby, I just sensed a young girl who was very, very angry about what happened to her father. And again, I think the casting in that sense works really well because after she kills Joel, I am interested to see how her character develops because I don't think she's a naturally evil person. However, being in this world, in order to survive, you do have to be a natural born killer. I thought watching Ellie on the horse with Jesse, like she kept looking back. She almost couldn't believe Joel was dead. Like she kept looking to confirm, was also heartbreaking. And it's not until I saw the body bag that I'm like, he's dead. Like I'm not even gonna lie, until the last minute I'm like, maybe there's a pulse. The contrast between Ellie and Jesse at the end was also really well done. Jesse is looking forward. This is the apocalypse. We don't got time. We gotta move on. The song at the end, coupled with the silent credits, said it all. I think what makes this show so sad is you feel like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. No cure, no Joel, just relentless violence. And I think episode 3 will really, really kick off because this show wastes absolutely no time. Dina saw the logo on the backpack, and so they will figure out who Abby is quite quickly. And I think the pacing of the show has always been very incredible. Like every episode has felt like a movie, and they are moving very confidently. Like I thought the episode was breathtaking. Again, I didn't mention much about the war going on at Jackson, but there were a lot of shots in there that I felt were really, really beautiful and extremely well choreographed, especially with the bloater. And I think the way the infected came out the town, I mean, these guys are fast, these guys are vicious. Like, you are constantly reminded that this is a world you are not long for. And so overall, I like the episode as someone who's unfamiliar with the game. I am interested to see how gamers react and how average people react. Now, again, for those of you who are sad about Joel, I actually felt my heart sink at the end of the episode. I was like, no, anybody but him. But again, we don't know who these characters are. We were just introduced to them, and we have to wait and see. And until next time.